just started doing this together, so we're getting all of our kinks worked out, and we're going to be able to rock and roll with this. So thanks for bearing with us.
Okay, there we go. Now are you seeing my screen?
We are.
Okay, screen on and recording is happening. Okay, so the reality, right? Real life. Back to our page. Here you can find the website that I was just talking about. And just a reminder, I'll pop that up since no one actually got to see it a couple of minutes ago. This is what it should look like and what you'll find. Here you can register for any of our upcoming webinars, as I said. And then down at the bottom of the page, you will find the links to our previously done user groups. They're posted on YouTube for you to watch or share with others that may be interested there. Underneath that is our hashtag, SmartETE for Educator to Educator, and you can find us on Twitter. And with that, we will move on to our agenda for tonight. Welcome and introductions is what we're doing now. We'll go through our purpose and objectives just so everyone is familiar. We will be using today's meet as a back channel for conversation, and we'll talk about this a little bit more in detail in a bit. But just to kind of show you what's happening out there, people are introducing themselves. But the website is up here. It's todaysmeet.com /AugustETE. We have posted that in the chat for those of you that would like to hop on and introduce yourself to each other. It's a great way to keep the conversation going. Unfortunately, GoToWebinar does not have that option in there. So this is a nice resource that Heather actually found and we use in the back. So join us on today's meet. Then we're going to go into Make It and Take It. We have two presenters, Chrissy and Jeff. Chrissy's going to be sharing on Activity Builder, and Jeff will be sharing on the widgets. After that, we'll move into questions. We'll talk about our next webinars, and we will wrap it up as close to 6 o'clock Eastern Time as we can. And moving along, questions. If you have any questions during the webinar, over on your panel that should have opened with GoToWebinar, there's a little questions area. I have that highlighted here in red, and you can just type any questions that you have for us in there. We will do our best to answer them directly to you. If it's something that we don't get to, we do get a list of all of the questions that have come in, and we try to answer all of those questions in an email that we will send out to everyone following the webinar this evening. You can also raise your hand if you have something that you would like to share. You know, if you'd like to speak on the webinar, say something out loud, raise your hand, and we'll definitely try to acknowledge that and get to that as long as you do have a mic or you have an internal mic on your computer.
Hey, Tara.
Sure.
So can a couple of, I wanted to let people know, so a few people like Donna and Charity and Jamie, you guys have introduced yourself on GoToWebinar, so if you'd like to, you can also introduce yourself and tell us where you're from on today's meet. So you just would, there's no login for today's meet, you just go to the today's meet and then August E2E. So we'll make sure that that's out there again. I think Jeff has probably chatted about that in some that. But the other thing is that Stacy she was asking was her mic muted, and it's by default it's muted. But if you do have a question, we would love to have you ask your question rather than posting it in the chat or just asking it electronically. So Stacy, I'm going to unmute you and we're going to test this out. Are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
We can. That is perfect.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so we try to make this as, you know, as really kind of conversationally as best we can. So a lot of it's going to watch. Stacy has demonstrated so greatly. We'll unmute you if you have a question. There's a raise your hand feature. So let's test that out real fast so we can see if people have that. So if you can find the raise your hand feature, go ahead and raise your hand. And Stacy's got her hand up. So it's in your little panel. So many of you have your hand up. So that's how that works, and then we can put all of your hands down. So some of you may just be listening. Some of you might have able to hear and be able to want to ask a question. So we'll use that feature. So I'm going to put all your hands down now, and that way if you do have a question as we're going along, because this is a make it and take it, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Session is recorded, so if you missed something and you didn't get your hand raised or your question, then we'll help, as Tara said, we'll go back and hear that, go back and have your question answered now. All right, Tara, thanks for letting me chime in and letting Stacy be able to ask her question.
No, that was great. I love it. I love it when our attendees want to chat and open up.
Well, thank you. I don't have any other questions. I just didn't know how to do this.
Well, now you know. It was great demonstration. So thanks for being kind of a volunteer there. So I'm going to mute you back, and then if you have another question, we'll unmute you or anybody else that has a question.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. So
all right, Tara.
Moving right along. So this is me. Here is my contact information at the top. I am an education consultant for SMART. I live in Maryland. This little red X down there, I live in southern Maryland, close to the Potomac River. Before working for SMART, I was a teacher. I taught 1st and 3rd grade. I was part of administration, and I worked at the central office in Charles County, which is where I currently reside. And just an interesting fact about me, I have 6 children. Oldest is 17, and youngest are our twin girls that are 19 months old. So just a little bit of fun stuff about me. Moving on to Miss Heather.
All right. So yeah, let me. Oh, I was already unmuted. So so I'm Heather Lamb. I also am an education consultant. I live in Texas, really close to the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. So if you've ever flown through there on a connection, I'm about 7 minutes, so it's quite nice. I have my little family up there. I have 2 boys, and they're both in college. Well, actually, one just graduated. Hooray for that. I was a teacher I taught 3rd grades, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and then 9 of the 16 years that I was an educator, I was a library media specialist, and currently working on a PhD. That's why I have that fun hat. That graduation's not going to happen probably until 2017. And kind of a fun fact for me is I had a SMART board about 14 years ago. So kind of I've grown up with SMART. It's kind of neat and seeing how the transformation of everything. So quite a long history.
Grown up with SMART.
Ready?
I like that, Heather. Grown up with SMART. Very cute. Very cute. Okay, so next page. Go ahead, Heather.
So why do we do this? Well, as we've got a large audience today, so I'm so excited. And one of the things that we do is we want to really increase the awareness of our products and solutions and services. You know, what's out there that can help people to better utilize the products. And then those tips and tricks. So we always have our educators, and today we have 2 fantastic examples of, you know, those tips and tricks, but this is a little different. We're going to actually try to practice some of those things versus just watching. We want to have resources because, you know, we're better as a group than we are by ourselves. So we want to have all those resources at our disposal because, you know, we may not need it today, but in a week from now we might think, gosh, where did I find that or see that? And then most importantly, really, is creating an active community. So if you on today's meet see something that catches your eye, let somebody know that, hey, you have a connection. On one of the webinars that we did, I think in May, we connected 2 language arts secondary teachers to each other, and they are now supporting each other. So it's a great way to make those connections and to build that community of educators. All right. So next, and look at all of this today's meet. So we're using that internet browser. How fantastic is that? So, is anyone else's sound cutting in and out? So mine is a little bit, some sometimes, depending on the internet connection, I will tell you with GoToWebinar, it's pretty labor intensive, so if you're on wireless, sometimes it will cut in and out. So hopefully it doesn't sound like it's cutting in and out for me right now. So I hope that helped it. Avril, I hope that's helping. That it's not. There is the Today's Meet session. So Trina, you asked what it was. It's todaysmeet.com/August E2E, and you can see who is all joining us. So yay for library media specialists. Yay. Love that. Love my library peeps. And look at all that. So you can keep watching.
I'm wondering if that person from the Outer Banks, Heather, that's the beach. I wonder if they're at the beach or do they actually live there? So Sue from the Outer Banks, maybe you can let us know. Are you vacationing or are you, is that where you reside?
So she'll have to tell us and let us know. Maybe she'll chime in. So the Today's Meet session, so Jose, is todaysmeet.com/August E2, the number 2E. So Jose asked that. So some people are saying their sound is good. So sometimes it depends on your own connection. So I hope that works out with everyone. So keep, oh look, she's vacationing.
She
How
is.
fun is that?
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's how awesome our webinars are, Heather. People are joining from vacation. I'm totally impressed.
Me too. So there's no wrong way to join this. So I know that sometimes Today's Meet is blocked in districts, and I'm not a fan of that being blocked. I know that sometimes happens. So maybe you could ask to get it, because it is a really fantastic tool, especially if you're doing PD, because it's really that conversation that you missed, or someone that doesn't want to raise their hand. This is a great place to ask those questions that you don't want to ask out loud. So it's that. So we've got Audrey from Calgary, Alberta. Jose is joining us, and Marilyn is good. And who else is down here? Jenny. So Jenny
Charity.
says she grew up with teaching with Smart.
Charity.
What?
Charity. She's one of my C's here in Maryland, and she had her first day of school today. She has a smiley face. I'd probably have a little bit of a frown.
Yeah. So we have a question that somebody is asking. So probably we'll stick with GoToWebinar for right now. On there, somebody's asking about a different program, but Tara and I will discuss this. So we'll find out. I think we're going to stick with this, but we'll never know. Something new. All right. So I think we've done good. Keep the introductions coming and keep the posting coming, because this Today's Meet session will stay live for a month after the session, so you can go back and review, or if there's something that you missed, and then we'll be posting some information about all the archive and all the good stuff. So if you missed something today, never fear, because there will be a recording. All right, Tara, you want to move on to the next page?
Yeah.
So before we get started, we are going to let our panelists or presenters do their introduction, but I wanted to kind of give you the background of these Make It and Take It's and how you can participate, because this is a little bit different than a traditional webinar, and a webinar sometimes is you're just listening and watching and taking it all in, but never one to stick with status quo and wanted to push the limits. So we decided that how about if we do a Make It and Take It. So you should have received that email, and I did post it out there. There's a Google shortened address to a Dropbox folder with some resources. So how can you participate in this Make It and Take It? If you're a visual learner, you just may want to watch and take it all in and then go practice it later. If you can multitask, you may want to watch Chrissy or Jeff and be able to minimize and maximize your pages and be doing what they're doing and listening and doing those steps along with them. Sometimes I've had people that will come into a computer lab and have one computer that shows on a screen the steps, and they're all doing it individually on their own computer. So that's up to you. I do have a lot of districts. After the session, we give an hour PD certificate that you could show that you attended this. So it could be that you get a group of your, and have a great professional learning community and learning from our experts, not Tara and I, but people that are using these tools and these tips and techniques every day. So that's just a little bit. They're not going to spend a ton of time on each part, and we're cutting into it, so I'm looking at the time. So they're not going to spend a ton of time on each part, but they want to give you a taste of how some of these tools will work. I'm looking at the time, Chrissy, so if you want to take over, and we'll change. Tara, do you want to make Chrissy and the presenter? And I'm going to mute myself.
Sure.
Okay.
So Chrissy, I'm going to
Yes.
you the presenter. Yes.
Okay.
Did you get a message from me?
Muted.
Yeah. Oh, I did now. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Not. Oops.
It looks like it went through. Is
Yep.
it there?
Yep.
Yes, it's there.
We can see it.
Okay. All right, good. Well, thank you. And I promise to not take too much time. So I will do a quick introduction of myself. My name is Chrissy Reber, and I have 3 kids, 16, 12, and 10, and I'm married to my husband I've known for 20 years. I love to exercise, and I used to be a 3rd grade teacher, inclusion teacher. So I have my undergrad in elementary and currently pursuing my master's in special education. And I work for Visual Sound, which is in Broomall, Pennsylvania, and I am an educational consultant and training specialist with them. So today I wanted to talk about the Activity Builder. The Activity Builder is located in your Add-ons tab, which on my screen is to the left, and it is the 5th tab down that looks like a puzzle piece. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the Activity Builder, you use the Activity Builder and you can identify an item or multiple items on the page, and you can define which items will be accepted and which will be rejected. So there's multiple different ways that you can use this. And if you attended last month's Educator to Educator, I did have a couple of different examples that showed matching activities with the Activity Builder, sorting activities, labeling activities, interactive games, all of which if you revisit online, you can go through some of those. And today I wanted to do a quick assessment. One of the things that I had taught in my class was rocks and minerals. So that's what the Activity Builder was going to be on today. There's a few things that I think are extremely important to remember before you even begin the Activity Builder. You want to make sure that you identify the objectives you want to meet. So in your mind, start to think about what is this Activity Builder going to be about. Clarify your audience. Do you have ELL students in your class? Are there varying levels? What grade level are you going to target this for? And then determine the type of activity, whether it's going to be a labeling, a matching, a sorting, or just a fun interactive game. And lastly, this is supposed to be a collaborative piece. It's supposed to bring your kids up to the board, get them really interacting with their lessons, and you want to make sure they're having a lot of fun and they reach the objectives that are set by you. So again, take a moment, determine what items you choose, what objectives. We want to set them on our page prior to starting the Activity Builder. What pictures do you want to use? Are you going to add sound? Are there any pull tabs that you're going to use? So for example, mine's on rocks and minerals, and I'm doing this on igneous rocks versus sedimentary rocks. It was one thing that I covered in my 3rd grade class. So before I even began, I knew I wanted to do a quick assessment to see how much the kids had learned. I found my picture on igneous rocks. You can either search through the gallery and pull them on, or you can use your screen capture and take from a web resource. You want to make sure that you place them on your page first. Any words that you want on there, make sure all your grouping is done before. I'm going to show you what it looks like, and then I'm going to walk through the of actually building it. I use these as little hints for my kids so they could go back and refer and try and determine which one of these rocks is igneous and which one is sedimentary. You can use pull tabs as hints, or you can even use them for directions. I didn't add sound this time because it doesn't come through very well on this on GoTo. So you can add sound to enhance the. So I was telling you in Activity Builder, you're going to define what your object is and decide which objects will be accepted and which objects will be rejected. So all of my igneous rocks should be absorbed into my picture. And the same for sedimentary. If it is incorrect, it should shoot back. Now that I showed you what it should look like, I'm going to show you how to build it. If you have the page in the file, you'll have the page that you can work along with me. So again, we want to look in our Add-ons tab. That's the blue puzzle piece. We're looking for the Activity Builder. And once you click on it, it's going to ask you to identify the object on the page. I'm going to just click this off so you guys keep it off the auto hide all. So I'm going to identify this particular picture as the object I want to edit. You can see that it is changed on the left-hand side underneath the Activity Builder. So it's ready for me to edit. When I click on Edit, you'll see that the blue lines appear. This first box says, accept these objects. I know, and I'm cheating a little on this one, all my rocks that have the black words on them are going to be my igneous rocks. So I'm going to add these into the accepted items. One at a time, I'm just clicking on them, and I'm dragging them into the box. I'm going to go down to the bottom here where it says reject these objects, and I'm going to click add all the remaining. You'll notice that the objects that are accepted have a green check mark, and all those that are rejected have the red box with the X on it. So I double check to make sure it's correct. And then I can go into settings, and I can say, do I want these to fade out when they're correct, fly out, snap to the center, and spin? And depending on whether you're doing matching activities, sorting, or assessments, you can choose what's most appropriate. I'm going to keep it as fade out. And you can see this option, which I told you did not add any sound, but you can add sound where you would check this and say play the object sound if you were going to add sound to any of these pictures. When you're done, you just hit the done button. But that's only the first step. I've only completed the igneous rocks. So now I want to make sure that I'm going to identify my sedimentary. So I select that. You can tell because I have the box around it. I'm going to now edit that object. And now I'm going to add into my accepted box all the objects that are sedimentary rocks. Again, I'll click on the picture and I will drag it in. You can see the plus sign lets me know that it's ready to drop. And then I'm going to add all the remaining. These are the only 3 rocks that are appropriate for sedimentary. So I'll click Add All the Remaining. Again, you'll see that these X's let me know that they will not be accepted by that item. I can go in and check my settings, make sure that it's what I want, fade out and bounce back when rejected. I don't have sound, so I'm going to hit Done. And then we're going to make sure it works. Igneous rocks, and it's fading in. Flint is a sedimentary rock, and it's bouncing back. And if this is going a little fast for you, Again, you can take some time to go back and review through here and do the steps a little bit slower and recreate with something that's more appropriate for your objectives that you want to meet. Get very creative. Use your items from your gallery, such as your pulled tabs. Add sound to your objects and make it fun. I'm just going to give you a couple of really quick additional uses for Activity Builder. For your language, you can have pictures of books with characters down the bottom and have the students come up and match the correct character or plots or settings to the stories. In history, you can have explorers in different areas on the map where you accept the correct explorers. In math, you can have pictures of fractions and match the correct number sentence with the fraction picture. Science, you can have different types of volcanoes, the names, and have the different pictures of the volcanoes and have them accepted and rejected. And for our art, you might have different examples of art pictures and have the students come up and define which type of art was used, whether it was pointillism. So they're just a few additional examples. Any questions? Tara, do you see any questions coming in?
I don't, but Myra said that she loves your ideas. So Myra, thanks for sending that in.
Thanks, Myra, and make sure to go back and see last month, and you can see additional activity builder ideas on there as well.
So we have so just to chime in, we have, so Avril, did you, I'm going to unmute you. She had her hand up for a while. Let's see if she has anything. Avril, do you have any questions, or did you have your hand up? Oh, there you are.
Nope.
Oh, good. Okay.
No, I am good. Thank you, though.
All right. And then let's see. We had, let's see. Debbie, did you have a question? Oh, I hear something. Maybe she just had her hand up.
Would you?
Okay. Whoops. I think maybe she just had her hand. I don't see. Let's go.
Lynette had a question, Heather. Are there any other types of activities to make? I'm not sure if, Lynette, you're referring to with Activity Builder. If you're referring to Activity Builder, you can create whatever you want to with Activity Builder. It's kind of the best part about it is that you can use it to customize whatever content you have. And thank you, Chrissy, for sharing some examples of all of different content areas. If you're talking about other types of activities, there are an abundance of activities that you can build in the Gallery tab. In the Lesson Activity Toolkit, there are additional examples of activities, so you might want to take a look in the Lesson Activity Toolkit in the Gallery. Thank you.
Well, yeah. Well, and two, you remember that anything can be a holder or a, so she had the two examples of the rocks, but you could put a square as a holder or the place that you're going to check. I always say you accept it or reject it. So it's your accepting or your rejector. And then so it could be anything, and you could have multiple spots. But here's the caveat to everything is if you have 5 holders, as Chrissy had 2, you have to repeat the steps 5 times. So I forget. So Myra asked about infinite clone because every answer has to have attributes. So everything has to be an accept or reject. So if you infinite clone, it wouldn't know whether you were accepting or rejecting it. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that to remember. So I've had some people get really crafty and creative, but they have to repeat the steps 5 times. And then also someone noted about the reset the page. So Chrissy, since you have reset the page on your up at the top on your toolbar. Can you click and show the audience how you got that there really fast?
I was actually just doing that, and for some reason it got stuck, but you're right. You can reset the page, so hang on and let me see if I can go back. I just tried it, but for some reason it did get stuck, but I do use that quite often. See, resetting it. I don't know why it's sticking, but
it's unexpected behavior.
So unexpected behavior.
Yeah. So can you show will you click on the gear over on the right and show people, because that's not, oh, let's see if it's going to reset it.
It's jumping the wrong way. Now it's jumping back. I'm not quite sure why it's doing it to that.
Okay.
I do use that, and that's a quick way to reset your page so that multiple students can be part of the assessment. Now it's like cloning my, I don't know what's going on. I think this is all kinds of unexpected behavior now.
That's how it always works. Well, while you're doing that, will you click on that little gear up in the corner and show them how to add the icon for reset the page, because I think that's valuable not just for Activity Builder.
It is very valuable. And so reset the page. There's that little cog in the corner. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me move down this. It's right here. And once you click on that, reset the page is right here. And by clicking on it and dragging it up to the top, you'll see that it creates a spot for it. That reset the page will always reset to the last saved, basically to the last time you saved the page. So you want to make sure that you create that activity and save it, and then every time a child would come up and do the activity, if you hit that reset the page, it should reset it back to its original state. And I apologize, mine's going crazy at the moment.
So that little cog over in the right is great, because there's a couple of tools that aren't as the default. They're not default tools or actions. So reset the page. Another way is maybe you want to keep the work. Sometimes I've recommended saving the file. If you know you're going to teach something 5 times, go ahead and save it 5 times with a different name. That way, if you don't complete the activity, you can go back to the activity right where you left off at. So that's another time saver. And then Avril has a good point, is these are not Flash, and we know that some of our items in the Lesson Activity Toolkit are Flash items which don't work because of the nature of the iPad. They don't work on the iPad, not because of Notebook, but because of the iPad. But these Lesson Activity the Activity Builder does work on the iPad with the Notebook app. So that's another benefit. So if you've been teetering on whether or not to purchase that app, these Activity Builder activities will work on your iPad. So another benefit. All right, Tara, let's, Kelly, did you have a question? I've unmuted Kelly.
I'm good.
Oh, she's good. Okay, sorry. If you click on it, then it'll go down, the little hand will go down, and then Leslie, oops, I don't think, let me mute Leslie because there's some feedback. So, perfect. All right. So, we're still getting some questions in there.
Heather, why don't we move on to Jeff, and maybe we can answer some of the additional questions in the follow-up email. I just want to make sure that we have enough time for Jeff to go through widgets.
You were reading my brain. That's what I was going to say. So let's change the presenter. Yep, I was going to say that exact thing. So let's move on.
Okay, Jeff, I just made you the presenter.
And while he's presenting, keep the questions coming. And yeah, if we don't get your question answered today, we'll put them in the follow-up email.
Okay. Don't you? I love the Activity Builder. That was one of the coolest tools of Notebook 11 when that rolled out. I had a blast with it. I created all kinds of different little lessons, from very, very simple kindergarten lessons all the way up through. I did things for senior level government, and it's incredible what you can do with Activity Builder because it's such a versatile tool. You can do it. If you go out and look at the Smart Exchange and look for Activity Builder lessons, you can find that people have created hundreds, probably thousands by this time, and posted them out there. It is a great, great tool. I love it to death. All right, my name is Jeff Peterson. I know I was looking at the attendee list, and I do recognize quite a few names from previous webinars, I am an instructional technologist in Lamar Consolidated School District, southwest of Houston, Texas, and I have been working in this district far too long. I realized that when they contacted me last year and they said, oh, you know, you've been here for over 15 years now. I was like, oh, scary thought. But that's okay. I still love it, still enjoy it. I've been working with Smart quite a bit. I am a big fan of it. And one of the other great things that rolled out with Notebook 11 was the ability for widgets. Widgets are, in essence, they're like a small program within Smart Notebook. Notebook 11, Smart released it in a way to allow third-party developers to make things, to make Smart Notebook more interactive, because quite frequently some of the best classroom inventions and classroom softwares actually came from the minds of teachers. And so Smart has opened up their software to say, hey, we want other people to develop stuff specifically for Smart Notebook and the Smart Board utilizing our software, which is where one of the places where widgets came from. The first thing I'm going to show you on here is the simplest thing in the world is downloading widgets. When you first install Smart Notebook 11, you will not have widgets as part of the installation package. You can still get the lesson activity toolkit and the gallery sampler, but widgets are something you will have to go out to the Smart Exchange to download. So that would be the first step. Let me pull up Smart Exchange so we can get that visible, if I can get my web page to cooperate. And where'd you go? It's disappearing on me. And it really disappeared on me. All right, there we go. I have too many things going open on my screen. All right, so out on the Smart Exchange, which is just exchange.smarttech.com. I will try to post that somewhere too. But exchange.smarttech.com, that'll get you out to the Smart Exchange very fast and very simple. You will need to register for a free account. That's going to be a requirement on there. Once you get out to the Smart Exchange, there are a variety of ways to find the widgets. You can do a very quick search for them, but really probably the easiest way would be right down in the section that says Browse By. When you go to Browse By, there's a section in here called File Type. I'm going to click on File Type, and there is a command right in there called Widgets. So when I click on Widgets, it is going to do an immediate search and pull up all of the Smart Notebook widgets that are currently available on the Exchange. And when the search completes, it will even tell you there is a total of 50 available. When you do the search, it is going to pull them up, and the very first one it shows on here is the Mochi Widget. The Mochi Widget was actually one of the original widgets for the Smart Notebook. Very cool widget. You can do a lot with it. But where I get curious is I want to know what's new. So one of my favorite searches, because I've worked a lot with the older widgets, is to click on the newest first. This is going to sort them, rearrange the order, and this is going to show me some of the latest and greatest widgets. A lot of these widgets that are here, I actually have built in to the notebook file that you would have downloaded prior, and I will touch base with as many of those widgets as I possibly can. I've got to watch my time. But this will pull you up and get you into the widgets where you can quickly get a preview idea of either do a little next, or several of them actually pull up a little YouTube video that lets you watch the YouTube video of it. But you can preview the widget, and if you choose to, you can very quickly download it. Very easy to do. Like I said, there are quite a few widgets. I made the discovery last week. I started prepping for staff development within my own school district. And I was like, let me grab some widgets, got out here and found out all these new widgets had popped up in just the past, I think, 10 days. If I click on it, it'll probably tell me exactly what it was. So yeah, July 23rd, oh, no, that's a little older than I thought. But several of these widgets I was not familiar with, and I quickly had to learn them. They are very easy. They're great tools to get a hold of. All right, so downloading the widgets, again, very quick and easy. Just go to the exchange.smarttech.com, do a search for the widgets, and you can download the many wonderful widgets that are already available to you. All right, and I talked briefly about that one. They will show up also. You can narrow down results because there is a column on the Exchange where you can narrow down those results very quickly on the side. If you do a basic search, you can narrow down on there as well. And you will find there are tons of lessons where people have created lessons with widgets. Very cool. All right. I do see a question that popped up about the Embed Widget. I just happened to glance over. The Embed Widget is no longer available on the Exchange, although I do still have access to that widget, and when I finish up here, I will post it in the Today's Meet where you can get a link where you can download the Embed Widget. So I can address that question right away. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take you down. I have the third page presentation was one of the latest widgets, which is a very, very cool widget, concept mapping. The concept mapping or bubble mapping kind of widget is what this one works on, but it's really neat because it also utilizes smart. If you have a smart response, whether the clicker systems, the PE, the XE, even smart response, the VE version, you can utilize smart response and the kids can do the concept mapping for you from the clickers themselves or from the response VE from the web browser. Very, very cool little thing how that works. But even if you don't have smart response, you can still utilize this widget without it. The first thing to deal with on the concept map, just like anything, this is a brainstorming activity. You do have to have a central topic. I set myself up earlier, just a few minutes ago, because I know my handwriting is very slow, and me trying to handwrite stuff, I didn't want to bore you with having to watch me handwrite. But you can handwrite words off to the side of the widget and drag them in. So I've got a little concept in here called pets. I wrote it out, or you can type it out. Either one works. I can type it, I can write it. Because most of the time you're doing this active at the board, the pens work great for it. Once you have your central topic, you drag it into the widget. It is automatically going to very quickly add your little concept bubble in the middle. Once you've done this, you will notice immediately a play button pops up on the right. The play button allows you to activate the smart response. So as long as you've got your smart response ready to go, you click that, it will start everything up, and it will go, and if you're hooked up to VE, it will pop up the smart response VE code for the students to join in through the online. If you're using a clicker systems, it'll let the kids simply have to do find a class. It will find whatever the class name is that you have already designated on your computer. They join it, and you can start submitting questions. They can start submitting responses to this. The number of responses by default is set to 5. So we'll let them submit up to 5 answers. That can be modified through the settings wheel. If I click the settings wheel, it's going to pop up and prompt me with a few different things: live updates, case sensitive, number of responses. I can go as low as 1, as high as 10. Very quick and easy. Case sensitive, I'm not too worried about that one usually. From here, the kids start sending in their responses. If I had an active session going, they would start submitting their responses. They would start popping up as an actual typed text item. These are interactive. I can drag them around, move them around as their responses appear. If there's a response that's not appropriate, I can drag it to a trash can to get rid of it. And they can pop in all their responses. As their responses appear, as you can see, it just keeps branching off. Now you might hit a where I want to go a little bit beyond just this first level of the concept mapping. So we've gotten a few pet ideas out. Now I could go as far as to click dogs, and now the students can start sending in answers and start sending in things about dogs. And it will branch off of those as well. So you can keep building and building off this concept map. It is a very, very cool feature. Once you have built the concept map, you want to capture what they've done. There is a camera tool. This will take a picture, a screen capture of exactly how the concept map looks, and it will add it to a new page within Smart Notebook. Then I can come in, if I need to, I can reset the widget and wipe everything out. Lots of different options available to me there. It's a very, very neat thing. Now, one thing I did forget to throw out also, because you saw I have dogs, cats, birds. Quite likely when you say pets, a lot of people are going to say dog. If the students respond multiple times, it's not going to give you dog 15 times on here. The more they respond, the larger this bubble will get. The font size of it will steadily start increasing. And it will get bigger and bigger and bigger, so you know which ones are very popular because the size of it will be larger. Now, because I did not actually activate a smart response system, we're not going to get an opportunity to see that one. But it is an absolutely incredible tool. Once again, it works with response, but as you saw what I did here, I didn't do it with a response. I just did it by dragging things in. And I drug in handwritten text, I drug in typed text. It works very, very well. All right. So hopefully that worked. You were able to play around, maybe play around with that on the demonstration file. All right, the next thing I'm going to show on here is another one that utilizes smart response, word cloud. This one is going to, again, it's another brainstorming type widget, but the students are able to send in through smart response, they're able to start submitting answers. This one is very straightforward. It pops right up. I hit the play button. In my case, I am connected to smart response VE, so I actually have a smart response window open. And if I wanted to, I could have each of you, but I'm watching my time carefully here, I could have you sign in and actually start sending responses based on this. So I'm signing in on my second monitor. You actually can't see that. But I could do the same thing, and I could ask the students to brainstorm a topic or brainstorm an idea or tell me characters from a story, many, many different options. So as I start submitting answers, once everything starts going, I'm going to click OK to clear this. You'll see it gives me my little code right here. And now, awesome. Thank you very much for people who did join in on that. This is very, very cool. You can see things are starting to pop up. If a response, just like the previous one, if a response gets chosen multiple times, you will see that the name actually does start getting larger and larger as they respond. Now again, this one has the commands in here that I can limit the number of responses, I can set restrict it. I have lots of options here. As you can see, dog has gotten very big because dog has been the most popular one. One of the ways I almost looked at this, if you're familiar with Wordle, this almost reminds me like of a Wordle thing. It's very, very cool. Really works well. I do see a question, does this work with cell phones? As long as if on the Smart Response VE, as long as their web browser supports it, absolutely. And VE is supported by most smartphones, so it should, in theory, work with it. So I'm going to keep.
And Jeff, just a side note, Response VE is a subscription-based response system. So if you don't have it, we can connect you with your smart staff person that can give you more information if you don't currently have Smart Response VE. Okay?
Yes, thank you, Heather.
Okay.
No, that's fine. I like the Smart Response VE when I'm doing the webinars because I can get everybody else to participate very easily. All right, so you can see the Word Cloud widget works really, really well. I'm going to show you only a couple more widgets because I am watching very closely my time. There are, if you have this downloaded that notebook file, you will see there are many, many other widgets I did throw in here, but I'm just going to show you a couple of them real quick. One of my favorites, this is not one of the newest widgets, but I do like this one because it's such an incredible widget in regards to story prompts. This one is the story recipe. It is a very straightforward object. It says click here to start. What this will do is it gives us little story prompts for creating a story. That's oftentimes a challenge for students, and we don't want to give them the same story prompt over and over and over or use it multiple times during the day so kids get used to it. This one comes up, it's like, okay, title suggestion, write a fantasy called The Future Demon. Maybe we don't like that title, we can do a new suggestion, it'll give us something else. Javelin Awakening, I have no clue, so I'll go with that. And it will move on in the story design. Okay, a story starts with a helicopter flight, I'm good with that. In a case like this, I'm not going to worry about names. I don't want heroes. I'm going to let them choose their own name, although that's an interesting name, Xenos. I'm going to skip names. I'm going to make them choose their own names for their story. And then I continue on. I've got text in the way here. Continue on, ideas. The story takes place in Rome, and it is going to be a story about a secretary, a pilot, and an animator. Oh, this is going to be an interesting story here. And then it's going to tell you the problem. Your story, you might find someone who is lost. We finish up. The story ends with an arrest. Oh, now we're getting really cruel. Once it finishes, it actually gives us a complete story recipe. And there's a writing prompt, real quick, real fast, real easy. I love this thing because it's such a simple thing to use, and the kids, they respond well to it because it works. It does work that well. All right, like I said, there are other widgets in here. I'm going to skip fairly quick in the presentation because I know I have to get going fairly quick. Another one I did like, this one is one of the newer ones, random words. In this widget, I can actually go in and program words into the backside. So there are several words I programmed in prior to prior to this unit. And so from here, every time I click on the dog, it's going to give me a new random word. Whoop, now mine's, there it goes. It's going to give me a new random word. I took advantage of this and I turned it into a labeling activity. So I took the picture, I pointed out everything. When I click on the dog, it tells me foot. I've got a little injection button down in the bottom corner of the dog. I click on that. It's going to pop the word up and then have the kid drag it to where it belongs and then continue the lesson. And whoops, of course I didn't do a random word. There we go. So now I get my nose, and I keep having the kid, just have the kids do something simple like that, a fast labeling activity. They don't know what they're going to have until they get there. You could also do it with matching of definitions to words, different things of that nature. You could even go, if you wanted to, you could program into the backside math questions. Put in a math question, have them, they go up there, they click random, or they click on the dog, it gives them a 2 times 2, and they inject it and they have to solve it, whatever it happens to be. You could really stretch this into a wide variety, labeling countries on a map or states on a map, cities, bodies of water. I could just sit here and rattle on different ideas for hours probably, just because of the endless possibilities. All right. Do have this little widget, the widget presentation I gave you, because I do want to make sure I'm wrapping up on time. And take a few minutes to go through some of the other widgets that are in here, because there are some absolutely incredible ones in here. The checker tool, that one does where I can literally program answers in advance, drag them in there. Counting tools, grouping tools, that's another very cool one. Have the kids come up to the board, write their names up here. They write it onto the page. I'm going to tell it to create myself 4 groups. Now I have 4 groups. Group 1, oopsie, I'm rotating them. I got group 1, 2, 3, and 4. It puts them in columns. I could change it and tell it to do it in rows as well. Just all depends on what you want to do. Real quick way to group things. Once again, random numbers, random letters, sticky note is very cool as well. Summing tool adds things up. There's a trash can in there. Very, very neat little things to play with. The last thing I always like to throw out at the very end, if you're looking for some cheat sheets, here I posted a cheat sheet on the today's meet dealing with Activity Builder. I have lots and lots of cheat sheets already pre-created and ready to be used by anybody who wants them. icafe.lcisd.org. These are made, I make these cheat sheets, I make them available to anybody publicly. You click on resources. Once you click on resources, there's going to be a series of buttons in here. There is one in here for Smart. When I go to Smart, it's actually going to take me into a page. Get that out of the way here. It's going to take you into a page that has a list of little tiles. In here, there's Smart Notebook, lots of different things. Here's Activity Builder, Extreme Collaboration. I have created cheat sheets for several of the widgets, not all of them, but several widgets. There are cheat sheets on here. All you simply have to do, click on the one you're interested in. When you click on it, it's going to take you to a page. These are PDF links. Some of them I have actually embedded videos as well. There's PDF links under the resource links. And then there's a whole bunch of videos for some of them. This is Extreme Collaboration. I'll take you all the way through it. There are lots and lots and lots of different cheat sheets out here. Last count, I think it was 70, 80, 90 of them. I've stopped counting because there's so many out there. But they are available to you. I do want to throw out also, because I saw a question come up earlier about looking for picture. If somebody was looking for where to get good pictures, I have a section in here called Other Resources, and I have a small list of places where you can get pictures that are copyright friendly or they are open source, so you can download and copy them all you want. There's a series in there, like I said. They're under the Other Resources section. So quite a bit of stuff there. Question came up once again about the website. Here's the website address right here at the bottom. So you can very quickly get that website off here if you need to. They are, like I said, they're free to download. We have them out there publicly for anybody who wants to use them. I do have a ton of resources on the Exchange if you're looking for stuff like that. Keyword, LCISD, you'll find everything I've published. You are welcome to email me. My email address is there. Feel free to email me anytime you need. All right, I'm going to turn it back to Heather because I'm getting long-winded.
You're fine. And we'll post the link to the Dropbox folder. If you didn't get a chance to download this, that in this folder has Jeff's contact information. So if you don't get it, we'll do a pretty extensive follow-up email with all of the links and the recordings and to both Chrissy and Jeff's information. But yeah, he has some pretty extensive resources that he shares out. So we're pretty blessed in Texas, but everybody else is just as blessed because he shares all those. So awesome, awesome stuff.
Yep.
Oh, I got one thing I do have to throw out real quick. The widgets that require that work with Smart Response, you have to have version 11.2 of Smart Notebook. So please keep that in mind.
That's a good thing. There is an update for 11.2. That is a great thing. You might want to, we'll put that in the email too, so that's what we'll do. Perfect. Thanks for reminding about that. All right, Tara?
Yep.
Thanks. Jeff, while you're over, Jeff and Chrissy, you guys are awesome. I know that was a fast and furious, and we took some time in the beginning because we have so many new users. We wanted to really help you to understand the process and everything, so we won't spend as much time in the beginning to go through everything, but we always will have a today's meet session, and if you can't get in that, we'll answer questions for in the GoToWebinar. So a lot of people are thanking Jeff and Chris. And then, Tara, do you want me just to keep going?
Sure, that's fine.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks a bunch. And then we wanted to let you know that our next session, so we're going to have kind of a dual month. September 17th is the next session from 5 to 6 Eastern. I know that many of you, that's late or it may be too early, but remember that we do record the sessions, so you can register and get that link to the recording that stays live, and then we post it on the YouTube channel. Oh, we have calendars. We both looked at this. Stacy, we have calendars spelled wrong. Oh no, Tara. So I'll let Tara fix that really fast. So that up at the very top. So, and we both looked at it. I just got back from vacation, so I'm still on vacation brain. So thanks for that. We also wanted to let you know that on Tuesday, September 24th, last month we talked about we're going to have some spotlight sessions. So these won't happen every month, but when we determine that we have really high interest on some product or something very specific, we'll have spotlight sessions. And so we are going to have a spotlight session on September 24th. The registration will follow the same format. It'll be in GoToWebinar, and the focus will be James Griffin is one of our business development managers, and we're going to have a couple of teachers talking about how they use response in the classroom, but also it's going to focus on response VE, because as more schools are utilizing their BYOD or BYOT cell phones, that we're finding more and more locations that are looking for that virtual clicker. And with the robustness of what Smart Response offers as far as the tagging, the standards, lots of features. So James is going to join us and talk about that, but we'll have two educators talking about how they're using Smart Response VE, so you'll get that kind of feet on the street knowledge. So we also, if you have any questions about the registration, on the info.smarttech.com ed2ed.html, you can always find the registration. I also posted on my Heather's Digital Dashboard link, which is on the email. Those of you that registered today, your information goes into our contact list, so you will get an email as a follow-up, but also an email to let you know when the next session is to register. We are on Twitter, SmartE2E, so you can follow us there. There are a couple of questions. We want to make this about what your needs are. So there are a couple of questions at the end of the survey that after you get out, if you'll take the time to fill those out so that we can definitely meet your needs. They're similar. They're the same questions as last month, but we just have a larger audience, so we thought we would repeat them. Some of them will be very specific. Our last but not least, our call to action. Next page.
Sorry. Yep.
No worries. Is if you haven't logged into CourseSpark, this is the time, because we're going to be migrating over to putting some things into CourseSpark, which is the smart learning space. Go to, it's your same login at smarttech.com, so use your same Exchange credentials, and you'll be able to find our board, and we'll share that out for you. So it's the smart learning space, and if you go into the training link, you'll be able to get right there from the Smart Exchange. So this is our CourseSpark link, and we're going to be using this as a format to help push out some of our resources. We'll have a board that will be developed, our Educator2Educator network. All right, so if you haven't joined that's your call to action. We want to thank you. We've gone a couple of minutes over, but hopefully between Chrissy and Jeff, we want to thank them. I want to thank Tara and for great webinar again. Here's our contact information. If you have any questions, we will have those follow-up emails coming out shortly by the end of the week. But if you have any questions in the meantime or missed something or want to know more, there will be a certificate for everyone that attended live. And we will see you on September 17th or possibly September 24th. Have a great rest of the afternoon. And with that, Tara?
Yep, we're all done.
Thanks again, everyone.
Bye.